Hello and welcome to New Filmmakers Los Angeles. My name is Danny De Lillo. I'm delighted and honored to be virtually here with Mario with his really fantastic movie, Sins and the Synth. Let's take a look at a clip. Okay, Mario, I've got so many questions for you. You took me into a world I've never been to before. But for those that haven't seen your film, tell us a brief synopsis.
So it's about a robot that wants to learn how to smile. I guess that's
I
very
love it. But you know, it's so funny. When I saw that synopsis, when I heard you at the film festival, I was like, that's all I need. I want to see it. Like enough already. Like these big sometimes synopsis, I'm like, no, you've sold me already. It's a mesmerizing experience to watch. It really is. I'm just curious for you, before we get into it, where did the inspiration come for you in creating the project?
I remember I was watching a lot of Blade Runner, and I really like the look of the film, and I really think it's interesting to think about how if like robots or AI, right, will essentially assemble, like they'll be whatever humans want them to be, or whatever they think humans are want them to be, you know? So I've always wondered, like, when you think about people, you know, like if you look at like religious texts all throughout the world, it always comes down to like once we gained knowledge and sentience, we ended up like war was like the first thing on our mind, you know, or collection of assets and, you know, like being scared of things for the first time, I think is always something interesting when you think of like AI and sentience. So that's what kind of inspired me to think about this film.
But it was just a fascinating, experience to watch. This robot that you created was, it was amazing just to kind of see. Firstly, wonderfully acted, but I mean, it was just even just some of the shots and the production design, everything was just captivating. Before we get into the cast, I felt in this film, like I mentioned, you created like a world, like this like futuristic world. How do you go about doing that? It didn't look very easy, but the whole environment you created was awesome. It was amazing. The colors, everything.
Yeah, I really when I thought about how I was gonna make this in like my friend's apartment, I was like, all right, so how could I like make this like world, you know, in like what could I do to add production value? And I remember I worked a lot as a gaffer and used like what's it called, like China balls, the lantern lights, quite a bit. And I was like, and you know, I remember once we were doing something and it was in the shot and we needed to move it, but I was like, wait a minute, you know, that actually looks like organic to the world. But obviously, it wasn't my call back then. But then I'm like, hey, if I make my own movie, I'm just gonna make it like part of the world. And so we started hanging all these like little lanterns
Yep.
from the ceiling, and I don't know, I always thought it gave me a cool look. And when you think of the original Blade Runner, when they're going through the town, you know, you kind of see like the sort of lantern lights and
Yep.
stuff like that, and it just kind of inspired me to make that part of the look.
I love that. I love that. I love that. And I love that, again, you never know. Your work as a gaffer really helped invigorate your world, as directing this piece. That's awesome. Um, I don't, I mean, listen, it's hard enough directing, obviously actors, but, how you direct, a robot and, in this
Yeah.
is a whole other ball game. Not to mention these kind of futuristic, assassins as well. It felt like these ninjas. Um, tell us a little bit about the kind of casting process, because I mean, this is an acting dream to play, but not kind of the regular role.
Yeah. All right. So it's kind of cool how I met my cast. The guy who plays what's it called, the initial antagonist. I met him through New Filmmakers. So yeah. There was someone outside my school. I'm going to Los Angeles Film School, or I was before the pandemic, and they invited me to a New Filmmakers thing, and I went, and we both really liked this film. It was called Box Girl.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And I remember it kind of inspired me too with the look after I saw that film and like the way the wig looked. I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. So anyway, we both wanted to stay behind and talk to the director, and we were talking to him. And at the end, he's like, "Hey, what's your name?" It's like, "My name's Mario." He's like, "Oh, my name's Mario." And then, yeah,
Oh, wow. That's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. And ever since then, we were hanging out, and I was telling him about this idea. And he's an actor. He went to the American Academy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, I'll play the title character, and we get to shoot it in my apartment." And
That's him. I didn't even recognize him. That's insane.
yeah,
Wow. I interviewed him too, obviously.
yeah.
Well, at New Filmmakers, we love to have community and collaborators, and that's what the whole goal. This is joy to our ears, Mario, because I didn't even recognize that because obviously he was acting. I guess I didn't even recognize, and I love that's really what New Filmmakers is all about. And I love that you, and I remember that film distinctively. And I love that's amazing. I love how your inspiration came that way. Really amazing. And for you personally, like how do you work as a director? You kind of quite hands-on, or do you kind of let people play, like improvisation? What's your kind of process?
I feel like I'm pretty hands-on. We did a lot of table reads before we actually went to go shoot. I remember the girl who played Jay. We met. I was doing like BTS on another shoot, and she was telling me how she wanted to act, and I remember I had to read for it. I was like, oh, she sounds like she definitely has like that like meanness, it's cool. It's funny because like if you met her, she's like a total sweetheart. She's like the opposite of the character in like real life. But she would. I like they kind of found a good way to kind of interact before we even got on set. So luckily, by the time we were there, it was kind of like they had that dynamic already.
Oh, amazing. I love it. This is so cool how your film kind of, came together as well. I love that you put this all in one space. And as I say, you kind of created this world. And I think when you're making something that's kind of got this kind of futuristic experience, it's like what you show, but almost what you don't see that kind of takes off your imagination as well. Like, I really felt like as an audience member, that's what you kind of created for me too. What was the biggest challenge you had in making it, if there was any?
Oh, there's a bunch. So we kind of had to shoot it all in one day.
Hey.
Yeah, people had like other commitments that Sunday, so we were shooting until like 9 in the morning. Like, we started at like
Yes.
2 in the afternoon.
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
So how is that? How is that like as for you as a director? Is it like quite tough? How do you? I mean, you got to keep everyone balanced and motivated. Like, is that kind of tough once it got to the morning, or how was that experience?
Oh, actually, I was super lucky. Everyone was like they were down. They were just like, they wanted to keep going. There was a point I was like, oh man, like maybe I'll just like stop and we'll just keep shooting another weekend or something like that. And people were like, no, 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 let's keep going. I don't mind. And luckily Mario's, he was very good about, keeping everyone's energy up. And we did, most of it was handheld too. So I think that kind of helped.
Yeah.
Like I'm definitely a big fan of handheld motion anyway. One, because I don't have the means to like get a steady cam, and two, even if I did, I'd probably still I enjoy the naturalistic kind of look.
Yeah, but it worked, and it made it very personal, which I also loved as well. So no, listen, this was like, I mean, I love your analogy of what interested you to make this story in the first place. It's a sign of a great imaginative filmmaker. I'm just curious, is there any exploration to like delve more into this world or this subject? Like, what's the story for you, Mary, in that respect?
Oh, well, I think it was kind of, I think going back to kind of Box Girl, how like they kind of like, I remember the big takeaway was how this person like had this idea of what she was in his head, and I think that, like, when you project who you want someone to be onto them, like you never know the results you're going to get, and like, if you think about this, like, this synthetic human, this robot, she was projected, like he projected violence onto her, and obviously if it doesn't know anything, it's like a blank slate and you tell it to kill, it doesn't have the intelligence level or the personal skills to realize who to kill or why to kill. It just understands like, oh, I'm scared. I'm scared and I don't want to die now that I know that I'm alive.
Oh yeah, no, it's just it really pulled it off. I just kind of the reason I'm asking, Mary, is I just wanted more. I was like, please don't cut this too. I need more of this. So it was an exciting place to be with that respect as well. What's been the reaction from your audience? How has that been for you? I know it's a little bit interesting times, but it's really an interesting, unique experience to watch your film. So what's been the reaction been like thus far?
They say it's very cool. They make it's very like visually, captivating. And I'm very big on like visuals because I think like if you're gonna make a film, it's like it's a visual medium at the end of the day, So try to like add that flair and like especially like I'm a big fan of, like purples and blues. Like I really like that color palette. And
Yeah.
like moving forward in anything I do, I always kind of want to try to introduce it.
Yeah. And what is next for you, Mario?
So I'm going back to school in January. I have to shoot my thesis film, and while I was working as a firefighter, I got really inspired by seeing the prison. What is it called? The prisoners, the prison firefighting crews, and they're like super hard workers. Those guys are very, very like they don't get enough credit for what they do, and the state relies on them pretty heavily. Because of the pandemic, we were down like 80 prison firefighter crews, and the state of California is pretty cheap. So like they'll do anything to stop a fire except for like hire more firefighters. And those guys do all the same work as every other fire. There's no difference. It's not like when they're out, no one's scared. When we see them, they're working just like anyone else would. So I want to make a film about prison fire crews.
Oh my God, I love that inspired you. And so those people that don't know who or weren't there last month, Mario is a fantastic, caring young human of the environment, as well as a great filmmaker. And just explain a little bit about where you were during your filmmaking experience with us last time.
Oh yeah, I was in Arizona on was it on the horse fire. It was like a day where we were just kind of on standby, so it's just kind of like the stars aligned.
Yeah, no, it was amazing it was amazing that you were volunteering to help with the fires at the same time as attending your film festival. Also part of the veteran cinema program on top of all of that. I mean, it's really amazing. And so, as well as being a great filmmaker, thank you for caring so much. Thank you for serving. Thank you for doing so many, amazing things. I mean, it really is great. And I love that experience has now brought you to another film. That's so cool. I really love that. Now, obviously, you got to go back and shoot your thesis, and it's very exciting times. And I know you're still in it at the moment, but I'm just curious. So early on in your career, or maybe even what you've learned, in other fields as well, is there anything you kind of go by that you could maybe share with other filmmaking audience or other creative people of what helps you to sort of support you in your filmmaking experiences or life?
Right. I mean, just I guess trust your crew. Like I feel like as a director or directing, I kind of felt more like a coach, really. When you think about like a coach of like a football team or any organization, like the players are the ones doing the things. Like when you think about the ones actually doing the things that are being seen are the actors. Like people see the actors, they don't see me. They as far as they know, they all the actors. Sort of thinking of this themselves, and so I think it's trusting your actors and trusting your DP, with things, like I guess because I come from I have a gaffing background. There's a part of me that wants to be very involved, but I feel like as a director, you have to like, back away from that and realize that's someone else's job. Like you don't have to control every light that happens in a film. You don't have to, you don't have to control the performance so much that like they're scared to like try things. I think it's just allowing your team to work together and do the things that they know they want to do, and trusting them, like especially like my main makeup artist, she did like such a great job making that look so like plasticky, and I'm like, that was so cool. And my production designer, the way she was able to like, help, put everything, like all that was just, like it was a team effort. So you have to be a good team player, even as a director.
big shout out to your production team, because you had some real class acts. Like, it was, there's so many moments in there. Like you mentioned, the makeup artist was so good, the production design, like it is a team effort, and you had some really good people. So whoever your team are, Mario, keep them. They're really, really good. You had a good group of people there. I'm so thankful for you. Thank you for saving the environment. Thank you for your service, and thank you for making great film. We really appreciate you, Mario, and just keep making more movies for us, please, if that's possible.
All right. Yeah, I'll try my best.
Thank you very much.